What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Matty Cars. I'm your host, Matty V, and this is a 2022 Wrangler Unlimited Rubicon 4xe. This happens to be one of our long-term test review vehicles. We've had this a year and a half and almost 15,000 miles, and today I'm going to take it up the canyon. Let's go. So what do we have here? We've got a 375 horsepower, 470 foot-pound of torque power plant coming from a hybrid system that is quite complicated, actually. There's actually 3 motors involved here. It's like a sandwich.
Give me $1 for a sandwich.
There's 2 electric motors sandwiching a gas-powered motor. The main heart of the power plant is a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged gasoline motor.
Gas ain't free!
Generating 275 horsepower, 290 pound-feet of torque. And then they have 2 electric motors sandwiching that. The first electric motor is a 44 horsepower electric motor that sits on the front of the motor and is attached with a belt. It's kind of like a supercharger of sort, at least is what I've read. I don't know. Seems to make sense.
I don't know if that actually happens.
And then on the back side of the gas motor, there's a 136 horsepower electric motor. All that power sandwiched together.
That's so many sandwiches.
It gets delivered through the 8-speed transmission, through the transfer case, and then to the wheels. That's a mouthful. But really, what does that mean? Well, let's go find out. So today we're heading up Little Cottonwood Canyon. It's about 8.5 miles from the bottom of the canyon to the top, and a little over 3,500 feet of vertical gain all the way up.
Nice.
I think there's about 33 corners here that we'll be enjoying in this. So why the heck are we taking an off-road Rubicon up the canyon for some spirited driving?
Good question.
Well, first of all, we want to see how it feels in the twisty-bits. For those of you that are maybe like me that really love cars and love to drive cars, you always want to feel what it feels like in the twisty-bits, right? No matter what it is.
Okay, calm down.
And really, there are some things you can learn about a vehicle by taking it through the twisty-bits that you can't really learn about it just by driving it straight up and down a road.
Boring.
So we're trying to understand a little bit more about the build quality here, like the engineering here, what it's like to live with this thing.
Live with it a while. Because
part of the reason we're doing these reviews is to help you understand that this is a vehicle you might want to add to your shopping list or not. And frankly, if the vehicle doesn't perform well in the canyon, it's a huge negative in my mind. Let's see how it performs and if it belongs on the list. So as we start our way up the canyon here, a couple things to note. It's 36 degrees. I am in manual mode in the transmission. There's no sport mode or anything like that. But in manual mode, it allows me to shift through the 8-speed manually. We're also in hybrid mode, so we're getting the benefit from all 3 of those motors as we're coming up the canyon here. It's getting dark, don't need the sunglasses. The other thing to note is we have 76% in the battery. So I'm curious what that's going to be at the top of the canyon as we have some spirited kind of higher RPM driving here. Headline is just over 6,000 RPM. So right now we are in manual 4. We're kind of in the lower part of the canyon here. See some climbers. It's a great time to climb cold rock.
Climbing.
And we're going to see how this thing drives and how it corners and how it feels driving up the canyon. Okay, starting off here in manual 1, I'm also going to put it into all-wheel drive. I mean, there's actually quite a bit of power. Like we said, there's 375 horsepower, 470 pound-feet of torque. Now this vehicle weighs 5,222 pounds. She's a beefy baby.
Whoa.
In fact, the massive Ford Raptor that we just reviewed last week only weighs 300 pounds more than this Jeep. How is that possible? All those batteries, all that powertrain, it adds about between 600 and 700 pounds to the normal Rubicon weight total. So noticing right away, there's plenty of power, and this 8-speed actually delivers it surprisingly well. I drove the Raptor last week with that 10-speed automatic, which was just frankly awful. One thing that was not awful in that Raptor was the steering. The steering in this is not great. It's super loose. This thing is just a sloppy little vehicle. This one got some fresh snow up here.
Squirrel!
So right away, the power delivery comes in early. 375 horsepower at 5,250 RPM and 470 foot-pound of torque that comes in at 3,000 RPM. One of the big positives so far is just the potency of this package.
Alliteration aside, I think I'll take my chances in the tournament.
You have all that power, 375 horsepower, 470 pound-feet of torque going to the ground. I'm in all-wheel drive. So plenty of grip, even though it's a little bit cold. The roads seem to be fairly dry. So the shifts are not that quick, but here is a nice little kind of twisty section. Let's see if we can feel a little bit about how the steering is communicating to us. Yeah, it's super big. There's a lot of body roll. This thing's on 33-inch tires, 17-inch wheels. I mean, it's decent. It actually can handle these corners. It feels like there's a lot of sloppiness in the steering right in the middle, but when you get into a turn, you kind of load it up. It feels light and big, but it does feel confidence-inspiring, if that makes sense. The thing turns in fairly well. There's just plenty of power. We're in the automatic mode now. Yeah, it's actually pretty fun. It does lean quite a bit. Here's a fun little section here. Let's step into this. Yeah, the power just goes all the way through. So much power.
So powerful.
We're sitting up high, so it feels a little bit strange because it's soft. Side to side. Let's try some brakes here. Ready? Oh yeah. Wow. I'm really impressed with the four-wheel disc brakes on this thing. Get into the gas here. I mean, there's so much power. We talked about how this is 5.8 seconds here. This is faster than the Raptor, and it does feel like it's faster than the Raptor. The brakes are better than the Raptor. The engine's faster than the Raptor. The Raptor had a lot better steering than this. Felt more planted. It had a way sportier suspension. That Fox live valve, really, really impressive. So the suspension on this is just soft. It's designed to be off-road, and it does great off-road. We took it on the lake lap earlier today, did the Widowmaker, had no problem at all. Full EV off-road, freaking awesome. Let's try some electronic canyon carving here. So we'll go into EV mode. Fun. Now, in electric mode, we talked about there's a 44 horsepower motor and a 136 horsepower electric motor. Together, it's about 186 horsepower combined. So it feels like a really big, heavy golf cart right now. And if you push too deep into the power, it will turn on the motor. So, the motor just came on. Yeah, it's fun. It's actually, look, any car up the canyon, going to be some degree of fun, right? Exhaust note, there isn't really any. Can't hear much of anything in terms of exhaust. Suspension, while being soft, it's not busy. I'm not bouncing around. It's soaking up the bumps nicely. The seats are not very sporty. They look good. They're fairly comfortable. They're kind of a synthetic leather, but they don't really hug you or hold you in. They're fairly flat on the bottoms and on the back here. The steering wheel feels okay. I don't really like the chrome here. Maybe do something different there, Jeep. It feels good. It's a good size in terms of its diameter. The thickness is maybe not quite thick enough for what you'd want. It's not designed to be a sports car though, so they have a tiny little sports car nubbin here.
Mr. Nubbins!
You know, it's okay. It's decent. I do like that it's heated, and I like the button layout and all that. We're down to 38% battery. So according to this, we've gone 8.4 miles. 7 of that's been gas. 1.4 of that's been electric. So we're coming in here to the top of Alta. Yeah, I think overall I had a good time. Not quite as sporty as maybe some others.
Really?
Yes, Jan, really.
Really not one that I would look forward to driving up the hill. It's fine. It has power. That's the best part about it, but in terms of how it feels in the corners, it's just okay. Which you never know. That's why we do this test. You know, some vehicles I brought up here and I thought, it really exceeded my expectations. Some were way worse than I expected. This one's a little worse than I expected, to be honest. It was fun. It doesn't leave you wanting more, I guess. I think overall, in terms of what this vehicle does, it checks a lot of boxes. It's incredible off-road. It's adequate on-road. and it's adequate in the canyon. If that's what you're looking for, you know, that's kind of how this one leans. What do you guys think? Have you ever considered a Wrangler Rubicon 4xe? What are your thoughts on this platform and this vehicle? I think overall we've had a great time. I think the nicest feature of this vehicle is actually the roof. I do wish it had more capacity in the battery. There's 17 kilowatt battery. In fact, they're giving you about 25 miles of range, which is okay if you're able to charge it and kind of stay close to home. Definitely a good spot to be. So once again, thank you for joining us for another Canyon car. We're gonna have a lot of these coming to you here shortly. If you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing and liking the video and sharing. Thanks. Bye.